K-pop Demon Hunters soundtrack hits #1 on the Billboard 200. Plus, Justin Bieber's Swag surges to the top 5 after its deluxe reissue, and Somber's I Barely Know Her hits the top 10. The soundtrack to Netflix's animated film K-pop Demon Hunters hits #1 on the Billboard 200 albums chart for the first time, rising 2-1 on the chart dated September 20th, after 7 non-consecutive weeks in the runner-up slot. The set earned 128,000 equivalent album units in the United States in the week ending September 11th, up 7%, according to Luminate, marking the album's best week yet. The surge to #1 follows the album's deluxe reissue on September 5th with additional tracks, plus the wide release of its CD that day. K-pop Demon Hunters' rise to #1 on the Billboard 200 was preceded by 4 top 10 charted hits on the Billboard Hot 100 Songs chart, the most from a soundtrack in nearly 30 years, with the soundtrack the first ever with 4 simultaneous top 10s. Among those is the #1 Golden by HUNTR/X, the trio of EJAE, Audrey Nuna and REIAMI, the singing voices of the film's characters Rumi, Mira, and Zoe. K-pop Demon Hunters is the Billboard 200's first #1 soundtrack in 3.5 years, since another animated film, Encanto, saw its companion album spend 9 non-consecutive weeks on top, January 15th to March 19th, 2022. Notably, as K-pop Demon Hunters climbs to #1 in its 12th week on the chart, it completes the longest wait to reach #1 since Toby Keith's 2008 release 35 Biggest Hits re-entered the chart at #1 on the February 17, 2024 dated list, following his death that February 5. The last album with a longer continuous climb to #1 than K-pop Demon Hunters was the Kid Leroy's F***CK Love, which jumped 26-1 in its 53rd consecutive chart week on the August 7, 2021, list. The latter vaulted to #1 following 2 reissues during that tracking week. May a While, the last soundtrack to take a longer journey to #1 was Oh Brother, Where Art Thou?, which rose 2-1 in its 63rd continuous week on the chart on the March 23, 2002 dated list. Its ascent to the top was aided by its Grammy Award win for Album of the Year at the 44th annual ceremony that February 27. Plus, K-pop Demon Hunters spent 7 non-consecutive weeks at #2 on the Billboard 200 before reaching #1. That's the longest wait an album endured in the runner-up spot before leading the Billboard 200 in nearly a half-century. In October-November 1977, Linda Ronstadt's Simple Dreams logged 9 weeks at #2 before topping the chart at last. Stray Cats' Built for Speed holds the record for the most weeks, peaking at #2, 15 in 1982-83. Also in the top 10 of the latest Billboard 200, Justin Bieber's Swag vaults 17-4 following its deluxe expansion with 23 additional tracks, and Somber's I Barely Know Her reaches the top 10 for the first time, rising 12-10 in its 3rd week, following the artist's performance on the MTV Video Music Awards, September 7. The Billboard 200 chart ranks the most popular albums of the week in the U.S. based on multi-metric consumption as measured in equivalent album units, compiled by Luminate. Units comprise album sales, track equivalent albums, TEA, and streaming equivalent albums, SEA. Each unit equals 1 album sale, or 10 individual tracks sold from an album, or 3,750 ad-supported or 1,250 paid/subscription on-demand official audio and video streams generated by songs from an album. The new September 20, 2025 dated chart will be posted in full on Billboard's website on September 16. For all chart news, follow at Billboard and at Billboard Charts on both X, formerly known as Twitter, and Instagram. Of K-pop Demon Hunters' 128,000 equivalent album units earned in the latest tracking week, SEA units comprise 103,000, up less than 1%, equaling 141.08 million on-demand official streams of the set's tracks. It rises 2-1 on top streaming albums for its first week on top. Album sales comprise 23,000, up 56%. It's pushed down 3-4 on top album sales, and TEA units comprise 2,000, down 7%. In the tracking week, the soundtrack got a boost from its deluxe reissue as a digital download and streaming album on September 5 with 23 additional tracks. The additional cuts are mostly sing-along, instrumental, and a cappella versions of the album's hit songs. The album's sales gain was aided by the wide release of its standard 12-track CD to brick-and-mortar retailers. It is available in 5 CD variants, each containing a poster and randomized photo card. A vinyl release for the project is expected October 17. K-pop Demon Hunters premiered on June 20 in a limited theatrical release in the U.S., in 3 movie theaters, and on Netflix, alongside its soundtrack. The film returned to theaters, this time nationwide, for a limited engagement on August 23rd to 24th as a sing-along version. The same sing-along version hit Netflix on August 25th. In the tracking week ending September 7th, the animated film was number 2 in its 12th week on Netflix's Top 10 Movies in United States chart, with 4 of those weeks at number 1. The movie now stands as the most popular original Netflix film to date. K-Pop Demon Hunters is the 7th animated film soundtrack to reach number 1 on the Billboard 200, since the list began publishing on a regular weekly basis in March 1956. It follows Encanto, 9 weeks at number 1, 2022, Frozen 2, 1 week, 2019, Frozen, 13, 2014, Jack Johnson's Curious George, 1, 2006, Pocahontas, 1, 1995, and The Lion King, 10, 1994-95. K-Pop Demon Hunters ends a dry spell for soundtracks at number 1 on the Billboard 200. It's been 3 years and 6 months since Encanto spent its 9th and final week atop the list, dated March 19, 2022. That's the longest the chart has gone without a soundtrack at number 1 since the 3-year and nearly 8-month gap between the second and final week at number 1 for Armageddon, July 25, 1998, and the first of 2 weeks at number 1 for Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? March 23, 2002. Back on the latest Billboard 200, Sabrina Carpenter's Man's Best Friend falls to number 2 with 119,000 equivalent album units earned, down 68%, after debuting at number 1 a week ago. Morgan Wallen's chart-topping I'm the Problem is a non-mover at number 3 with 98,000, down 6%. Justin Bieber's Swag surges 17-4 with 80,000 equivalent album units, up 223%, after it was surprise reissued in a deluxe edition as a digital download and streaming album on September 5 with 23 additional tracks. The deluxe edition is dubbed Swag 2 and contains the original Swag album's 21 tracks, along with an additional 23 bonus tracks. The original Swag album was also a surprise affair, arriving on July 11th with little notice. It debuted at its number 2 best. All versions of Swag are combined for tracking and charting purposes. Swag also gets an assist from the release of the standard 21-track album's release on CD and via 2 deluxe CD box sets, each containing a branded t-shirt and a copy of the standard Swag album. Alex Warren's You'll Be Alright, Kid is a non-mover at number 5 on the Billboard 200 with 38,000 equivalent album units earned, up less than 1%. SCA's chart-topping SOS climbs 9-6, just over 33,000, down 2%. Wallen's former leader One Thing at a time dips 6-7, 33,000, down 6%. Stray Kids' chart-topping Karma falls 4-8, 32,000, down 49%. And Ghana's The Last One falls 8-9, 31,000, down 10%. Closing out the top 10 is Somber's debut studio album, I Barely Know Her, which rises 12-10 in its 3rd week on the chart, and its 1st week in the top 10. The set earned 29,000 equivalent album units in the latest tracking week, up 5%.